Oh, there is. Everything changed. Okay, I see you.
Can you see me, Ron?
Yeah, let me hang up.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. Yes, I can see you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. All right. Thank you for joining us. For everyone out there, happy afternoon. If you don't remember, my name is Clifton Roosboom. I'm the founder of PocketLab, and we're really excited to have Ron Hipschman from the Exploratorium here joining us. And Ron, looks like you're outside.
Well, I'm on the roof here.
Can you describe where you're at?
Sure. We have a lot of instrumentation on our roof here. So we have, I got a soft drop here. There we go. We have a weather station right here, which is part of the Earth Network's weather network. And so it has up at the top there, wind velocity and direction. And then that little cylinder thing is next to it. The white cylinder is a lightning detector. Below that is temperature and humidity. And then down below you can see, let's see, I guess I can point. There, that is rain gauge. That's just a Wi-Fi network connection. And then down here there's air pressure. This instrument back here is actually a really interesting one. That's a microwave radiometer that measures microwaves coming from the sky, which allows us to measure temperature and humidity as a function of altitude up to 10 kilometers. That's made by a company called Radiometrics, and that's also part of the Earth Network's weather station. We're part of one of their programs called the Boundary Layer Network, which is measures the height of the boundary layer. And so that's a really exciting instrument, actually. Unfortunately, one of those that we're not allowed to share data with unless you ask us.
Okay.
Then we have our own weather station over here. So up there, again, is wind speed and direction. And then right there, that's temperature and humidity. Down here in this box is air pressure. And let's see, over there, down there we have, that is, of course, precipitation, how much rain. And then right about there, that's measuring how much solar radiation is hitting the roof. So that's pretty cool. And then relevant to this conversation about air quality, it doesn't look like much, but this gray box right here is part of the Beacon network, which is a network of air quality sensors that measure all kinds of things in air quality, particulates, mainly CO2 is what they're interested in. This is a program out of UC Berkeley. And we have two of those, one here on this end, the far end of the pier, and then, well, you can't see it from here, but the other end of the pier near the Embarcadero. So we have lots of instrumentation up here on the roof, and we're hoping to add more.
Cool. So as a first background, for people not familiar with the Exploratorium, where are you oriented and what is the Exploratorium?
Sorry, I'm getting over a cough here.
Oh, no problem.
The Exploratorium is a science museum in San Francisco. We are located on Pier 15 on the Embarcadero, so we're about halfway between the ferry building that way and Fisherman's Wharf in that direction. And so easy to get to on public transportation. Probably world's best science museum, I have to say that. They pay me to say that. Yeah.
Well, I would agree. And what's sort of the mission of the Exploratorium? What do you guys called to do?
The Exploratorium, we try to teach science through participation. So all of our exhibits are participatory, and you have to play with them to learn. And so we do everything from social science and psychology up to through physics, excuse me, physics and some biology too, because now that we're out here at the end of a pier, we have by the way, we have this beautiful view out here. You may be able to see the Bay Bridge out there. Not a bad location.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, kind of a nice place. Nice to come here in the morning.
Yeah, and for the viewers, what is your background? I know when I first met you on your business card, it said loose cannon, I believe. But
that's my title.
Okay, so Ron Hipschman, loose cannon of the Exploratorium.
Yep.
Can you tell our viewers how long you've been there and what is your role at the Exploratorium?
I've been at the Exploratorium for 46 years. So I started here when I was in high school. So, but some reason they keep me here. They let me do what I want too.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm doing right now is I'm taking care of those weather instruments over there. So it's kind of a lot of fun. I also work and do some of the visualizations in our. We have a Bay observatory, not an astronomical observatory, but the Bay observatory. I'm standing on top of the roof of that right now.
Okay.
And we have a large 9-screen video wall, and in there we do a lot of interesting visualizations of weather and climate. So we work with a lot with NOAA and NASA to do those visualizations, and we also work with NOAA and NASA just on data collection and other projects. So we have an actual memorandum of understanding with NOAA, so we actually have access to their scientists.
Okay, awesome.
Except that we're allowed to talk about climate change.
Okay, yeah, that's a good thing. Somebody needs to talk about it.
Yes.
Well, when you so you're getting all this data from your stations. What like do you see interesting trends, or like for instance with the wildfires that were going on up in Sonoma? Can you see the effects of that with your instrumentation, or what kind of data trends?
Well, our point here is to collect data over a long period of time to show not only daily variations, but maybe yearly and hopefully decadal variations. Okay. We've been collecting data now on the roof here for about 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
Also to show correlations. And if you go on our website, www.exploratorium.edu/wiredpeer, all one word, wiredpeer, you can actually explore our data. We have a data explorer there that you can actually take a look at our data. And if you want to actually download our data in raw form, we allow you to do that too. Okay.
And so that's for which instrument, or all the instruments?
All the instruments except that radiometer right there.
Okay.
And if you're really interested in that radiometer, we can arrange to get you data there. It's just that it belongs to Earth Networks, and they have to somehow monetize. It's like a $250,000 instrument, so they have to somehow monetize that instrument.
Okay.
They sell. Earth Networks is in the business to sell data.
Okay.
But we get to use it.
Yeah.
Because we're providing power and data connectivity, so we get the data too.
Yeah, and prime real estate.
Prime real estate. Yeah, there's a nice big boat out there. Where is it? There it is.
Yeah.
Big shipping boat coming in. It's another nice thing. We get to see a lot of boats.
And you guys have buoys in the bay too, right?
There is a buoy. It's on the other side of the building right here. But NOAA, specifically the Pacific Marine Environmental Lab, PMEL, they are the ones that put the buoys out, normally in the middle of the ocean. And they have a whole series of those buoys that are measuring CO2, both in the atmosphere and CO2 that becomes dissolved in the water. And that's important to measure ocean acidification.
Okay.
And we asked them if they had an extra buoy, and they did. So we have it right here on the pier, a mere 100 feet from the shore. It's data that NOAA has never actually had an opportunity to take because their buoys are all out in the middle of the ocean. So this is kind of new and unexplored territory for them too.
Yeah. So when the public comes to the Exploratorium and is learning about science, what kind of questions are you do you get, and what do people want to know about climate change and air quality and this type of research that you guys are doing?
I think it's very rare that people actually come with a question to the Exploratorium because it's what? It's the Exploratorium.
Okay.
And so people come here and they really explore the exhibits and they form questions here, hopefully, and that they'll either take home with them and look up, maybe talk to you guys, get some instrumentation of their own, or do some experimentation at home. We have a lot of things that people can do on our website at home as well. So if you want to sort of continue your studies, we have a lot of, we published originally a book called the Exploratorium Cookbook, 3 of them, Exploratorium Cookbooks. And those tell you how to build our exhibits. But
cookbooks.
Cookbooks, yeah. Well, they're not cookbooks with food. They're cookbooks with the recipes tell you how to build our exhibits.
Okay.
But we had teachers come and they said, well, you know, that's all well and good that you're telling us how to build exhibits, but we don't have a bandsaw and a drill press and a lathe and a milling machine in our classroom. Tell us how to build these things easily. So we invited the teachers back, and they wrote up not recipes but snacks. So we have a lot of our snacks online that are easily done either in the classroom or at home. Hundreds of them. So a lot of stuff that you can, and some of them are climate and weather related as well.
Okay.
All across physics and chemistry and biology.
Okay. Very cool. Well, I know you're in charge of a lot of the data visualization. How do you try to convey all this information and all the science that you're doing and all of the measurements that you make? How do you guys convey that information? What are good ways that you've seen to share it?
We're still exploring that. Revealing data in a public forum is actually fairly difficult. Not everybody understands what a graph is, although a lot of people are getting that because you see them in newspapers and everywhere now. But we're exploring how to visualize that data. We have several ways in our observatory. We have the standard graphical ways. We have where we show our local data. We also have, for instance, a table. That table is, it's carved topographically into a map of the Bay Area, and we can project data onto the table because the table is just white. And so that's kind of a platform for exploring how to show data as well. So that's good for geographic data. So we have things like, oops, did I lose you? I can only see myself. Are you there anymore? I can't hear or see you anymore, so I'm assuming that you are no longer with me. I'm going to reload this thing. So I may go off the air. I'm reloading my browser.
I see you. You're good.
All right. Sorry, we're back. Let's see if we'll try to get Ron back on here. Could you give Ron a call?
Yeah. Does he know how to?
In the meantime, if you have any questions for either Ron or for the PocketLab team, you can put that into the chat window, and we'll get to that in the last couple minutes of our broadcast. Hey, Ron.
There. Sorry. I don't know why I lost you there.
I don't know why either, but we're back. Okay. So one note to everybody out there watching, if you have any questions for Ron or for the PocketLab team, just put it into the chat window, and we'll be together for another maybe 10 minutes. And if there are any user questions, we'll answer that. Otherwise, we'll continue to go down our list with Ron. So I guess, have you seen, so you're getting all this data into your stations, and
is that awkward having a weather vane coming out of my head? No,
that's great. It looks like a hat, like a fez.
More like fuzz.
Yeah. Can you see trends in the data when you that you guys collect, either from like a wildfire or commuting or any like weather phenomenon? What have
we saw a lot.
Your data.
Yeah, we saw like a huge spike in particulates when the Santa Rosa fires were going. I haven't seen much with the LA fires.
Okay.
But we also want people to take a look at some of that data, and they can make their own correlations.
Okay.
Every once in a while during the day here, you'll see like a huge spike. We also have sensors in the water here as well. I forgot to mention that. Let me see.
Okay.
Can I show you those? Let's see. Hang on.
You see them from up there?
I think so. So down. Let's see. There we go. You see those two pipes sticking up out of the water?
Yes, we do.
There's two sondes in the water there that have a couple dozen sensors on them, and so we're measuring water quality parameters there too. So turbidity, salinity, oxygen content, various kinds of bacterial content. So we have, again, we're collecting tons of data. Every once in a while, for instance, during the day, you'll see this huge spike in turbidity and the clearness of the water. We couldn't figure out where that was until we realized it was around the rush hours. And right next to us, on the dock right next to us, we have the ferries are parked. So the ferries would turn on their engines and stir up all the stuff on the bottom of the bay. And that's why we would see all of a sudden the water would get less clear.
Okay.
So it's actually kind of interesting. When the tide rises, does the oxygen content go up or down? These are all things that are interesting to explore. We like to bring up, I always like to bring up a quote from Wernher von Braun.
Okay.
He said, research is what I'm doing when I don't know what I'm doing.
Seems
very
appropriate.
appropriate.
Yeah, totally. And do you see seasonal changes from your measurements as well?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, right now we're in the king tide season, so we're seeing large tides now.
Okay.
And that's measured with one of the water sensors. We can measure depth. And, well, besides the two that I showed you, the U.S. Geological Survey also has an instrument in the water that sits near the bottom. These sit about 1 meter below the surface, and the USGS sits about a meter off the bottom. So by measuring depth, we can measure tide. So there's all kinds of interesting stuff that we can measure here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
One thing I'm missing is I don't have a weather radar. I can't look up and tell which direction the wind is moving as you move up into the atmosphere. Really want one of those instruments one of these days.
Okay, that would be awesome. Is there anything else on your wish list that you want to start outfitting the top of the Exploratorium with?
Good question. I have an instrument that I haven't put up here yet called a disdrometer that's actually really cool. It makes a little sheet of laser light.
Okay.
And then at the other end, there's a sensor that looks at that light. And when raindrops fall through the sheet, it can measure the size and velocity of those raindrops.
Okay.
So you get an idea of the distribution of raindrop sizes in any given storm, and you can characterize the weather that way. Is this drizzle? Is it a heavy rain? Is it a light rain?
Yeah.
It would also be able to characterize snow because snowflakes fall really slowly.
Okay.
But we probably won't be measuring any of those here.
Yeah. We have one user question asking, so when the fog rolls into the bay, does that affect the air quality? And can you see that in your station data?
Yeah, the particulates go way down because the fog kind of sweeps that out. Also, that happens when the wind is coming in from the ocean as well. Then you get a lot of we sweep all that dirty air over to Oakland and Hayward and Fremont, and then they have to deal with it. But actually, there's a whole series of these beacon sensors, those things over in the East Bay, and the idea of the beacon network was to have a series of these sensors very close to each other. And that way you would be able to source the carbon dioxide and where it's coming from.
Okay.
And so that's why we have two of them on our building, one on the Embarcadero end and then one on this end right here. And you could definitely tell the Embarcadero side has higher CO2 than this side has. It's right next to all the cars.
Okay. Can you tell which direction the wind's blowing by like the concentration gradient? Oh, always out to the bay?
It's pretty much usually blowing pretty much westward.
Okay.
Every once in a while you get the offshore breeze, and that's when we usually have hot weather.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
When the wind is blowing off the ocean, you usually get nice cool ocean breezes because the water in the ocean cools it down. but the land is very bad at holding heat. And so during the day, land heats up very quickly. And so when the wind comes from the east, then you get pretty warm days because you have that nice warm air blowing over and then we get Oakland's CO2.
Okay. Do you have to chase away seagulls off your instruments? Do they ever like nest on your sensors and cause erroneous readings?
Actually, it's a good question. The radiometer, that thing right there.
Yes.
On the very top of it, there's a kind of it looks like a mailbox, but there's a little window, it's a microwave window that's right there. And that originally was made out of kind of like styrofoam, remember when McDonald's had styrofoam lunch boxes?
Yes.
That kind of material. And the seagulls would land on this thing here, and they would, with their little talons, go, ooh, that's nice and soft. And they would poke holes in it. We'd have to replace it quite often, and so we worked with Radiometrics, and we've changed out the styrofoam microwave window for a Teflon window. So that's kind of where we help companies too. We can actually help develop the instrumentation.
Do you guys have a plastic owl or a scarecrow or anything up there to?
They don't work.
No.
No, we tried scaring the seagulls off with we had this noisemaker that made falcon noises, which apparently is a natural predator of seagulls. But they adapt to it really quickly. When you hear the noise, but you don't see the birds.
Yeah,
they adapt.
Okay.
We have a large solar array on the Exploratorium's roof. I don't know if you can see it. There's some of it right there, and across there's you can barely see it on the other building over there. But we have 5,874 solar panels on the roof of the Exploratorium, so we can actually generate about 1.3 megawatts of power. We're not quite net zero yet. We're trying to be net zero. We're not quite there yet, and it's hard to see. You can't see it with this resolution camera, but keeping the seagulls off the solar array is actually much more important to us. They don't actually touch the weather instruments very much at all.
But yeah, if a seagull poops on one of your panels, it really drops the efficiency, doesn't it?
Yeah, we've lost like 20% because of the seagulls.
Oh yeah.
They get washed twice a year, so that's okay. But we found out that if you put a little piece of fishing line around the edge of the each array, and then an X across the middle, the seagulls see that, and they can't quite land in that area, so they just give up and they don't land on the solar cells. They love standing on the solar cells because they're warm.
Okay.
They like standing on those nice warm solar cells.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But the strings keep them away, and it's a humane way to do it.
Yeah.
Because you can't put spikes on your solar cells.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which is also humane, but doesn't work. You're blocking the sun.
Oh, okay. So for your instrumentation, does it run 24/7? And
yes.
What kind of reliability do you guys get?
It's pretty reliable. I mean, the things that the weather data especially is reliable. The buoy, every once in a while we have to replace. There's a reference gas, CO2 reference gas. So it's probably our most accurate CO2 measuring device because it does have that reference gas there, so they have something to compare against. The CO2 sensors in the beacon don't have a reference gas, so they have to be calibrated every once in a while. There's one more instrument I forgot to mention. We also have a radar on our roof that can actually measure the velocity of the surface currents in the bay too. So we are also taking surface current measurements, and that's with a company called Kodar, and the program is with Senkus.
Okay.
So there's even more data. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's an impressive list, and it'd be really exciting to be a scientist there and have access to all that instrumentation.
You do have access to most of the data here.
Yeah.
So the folks out there, when the PocketLab starts shipping, the air quality PocketLab, you can actually get one of those, and you can actually compare it. Maybe if you're close to us, you could actually use us as a calibration point.
Yeah, that's something we're really interested in developing. Is how can we, like a user take the PocketLab near an EPA station or a station like yours at the Exploratorium, and then because we have the GPS data, we can, and that co-location, we can automatically calibrate the readings and do that sort of in an automated way. So
yeah, because sensors, they change with time, so you have to kind of be careful with that kind of thing.
Yeah, so we'll be sending PocketLab users to the Exploratorium so that they can come use your data.
Yeah, I'm sorry they won't be able to come up to the roof here.
Yeah. Well, they'll do it.
There's no railing there, so our operations department frowns on my bringing people up to the roof.
Yeah.
I brought you up to the roof, I think.
Yeah. But we get the behind the scenes tour.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions from out there? Well, Ron, this is awesome. Thank you for taking us behind the scenes and showing us all your cool tools. We appreciate the tour and all your support. And can you tell people again where to go if they're interested in finding out more and seeing the data that you collect?
Well, on our website, www.exploratorium, that's exploratorium.edu. There's only 2 museums that have EDUs. We're one of them. And then if you want, that'll get you to the general website. And then if you want to get to the wired peer section, which has all the data, it's / it's always / why do we even say that? It's / wired peer, WIREDPIER.
Not to be confused with weird peer.
Not weird peer, wired peer, yeah.
Okay. All right. And then when people are visiting San Francisco the next time they're on vacation, they should stop by the Exploratorium.
Absolutely. It's at Pier 15 on the Embarcadero between the Ferry Building and Fisherman's Wharf. We have our own Muni F-car stop, so you can just take the F-car right to our door.
Okay.
It's really easy to get to on public transportation. You can take Muni, you can take BART, you can take the train, you can take the ferries. There's almost, if you can't get here, you have a problem.
Yeah. And from my experience, it's the coolest museum I've ever been to. It's unlike any museum. It's so interactive. It's got this steampunk kind of decor. It's an engineer's paradise.
I agree. If that was the case, I would. If it was not the case, I wouldn't be here. Let's see. Here's my badge. I wouldn't have been there for 45 years. Well, 46 years now.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you have been, and thank you for giving us the tour.
It's good to be able to get up in the morning and go, oh boy, I get to go to work.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Well, thanks, Ron.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll see you soon.
Okay. See you soon. Look forward to the PocketLab air quality.
Thanks.